Title: The Unexpected Chuckle. An interesting incident from BTS Suga's military draft. When BTS's Suga, Min Yoongi to those who know him offstage, was officially drafted into South Korea's military service. Fans expected a solemn goodbye, a few emotional farewells, and some quiet months ahead. But Suga, ever the low-key, witty member of BTS, managed to stir up a moment that left fans and even military personnel chuckling, proving that even in uniform, his charm and humor never go off duty. The incident that made everyone smile during his early days of service as a public service worker. An alternative to active duty due to his shoulder injury, Suga reported for his assignment with his usual calm demeanor. But on one of his first days at the civil service office, an unexpected moment unfolded. As he was being introduced to fellow workers, one of the staff, not recognizing him at first, asked matter-of-factly, "Are you any good with computers?" Without missing a beat, Suga reportedly replied with a straight face, "Well, I've composed and produced over 100 songs. Does that count?" The room went silent for a beat before everyone burst out laughing. The charm of Suga the humor wasn't just in the words, it was in the delivery. Those who know Suga's style know he's the king of dry wit and subtle sarcasm. This tiny moment, while lighthearted, reminded everyone why he's not just admired for his music, but also for his personality. Even more amusing, a staff member who later realized who he was reportedly gasped, "Wait, that's Suga?" prompting a ripple of fan excitement among the office staff in the days that followed. A glimpse behind the curtain. What makes incidents like this so special is the peek they give into the everyday life of a global superstar. Suga wasn't trying to be funny, he was just being himself. And in doing so, he turned an ordinary first day at work moment into a story that brought smiles to fans around the world. In a world that often holds celebrities at a distance, moments like these remind us that behind the fame and stage lights, they're still just people, with quirks, humor, and a perfectly timed one-liner. Fans react. From concern to laughter once the incident made its way online. Thanks to a fellow worker's anonymous post on a fan forum, it quickly spread across social media. Armies, BTS fans, couldn't stop laughing. Memes popped up within hours. Photos of Suga behind a computer with captions like, "Fixing spreadsheets," "One beat at a time," or "From Grammy-nominated to government-assigned." What was initially a nervous time for fans, many worried how Suga would adjust to military life, quickly transformed into a wave of warmth and admiration. The incident humanized him even further, revealing that not even national service could dampen his sense of humor. Keeping a low profile, but leaving a big impression despite the fanfare, Suga has remained humble and private during his service, asking fans to wait patiently and not send gifts or letters. Still, stories like these emerge, showing that even in quiet service, he's making an impact, just not in the way you'd expect from a global pop icon. One anonymous coworker shared, "He doesn't act like a celebrity. He listens more than he talks, but when he does speak, it's always thoughtful or hilarious." A preview of what's to come. If anything, this little story is a reminder of what fans can look forward to once Suga returns. His sharp wit, authentic presence, and effortless ability to turn the mundane into magic will no doubt show up in future interviews, lyrics, or perhaps even a surprise podcast episode detailing his time in service. Until then, fans are left with a smile, and perhaps the mental image of Suga calmly explaining his production skills while filling out a spreadsheet. Conclusion: the legend of Suga's draft day Chuckle in a time often filled with formal updates and quiet waiting. It's these unexpected, charming moments that fans treasure most. Suga didn't try to go viral, he didn't pose or prepare. He simply responded with honesty and humor. That's the magic of Min Yoongi. He makes even military service feel like a well-crafted punchline in the story of BTS. The Office Suga phenomenon. Following the spread of the story, fans affectionately began referring to him as Office Suga, imagining him in a crisp button-down shirt with a lanyard ID, sipping black coffee while typing away in silence. Fan art flooded Twitter and Instagram. Suga surrounded by stacks of paper, sticky notes that say, "Don't disturb," "Genius at work," and a tiny Producer of the Month plaque sitting on his desk. The term even started trending briefly, turning what was once a concern about a hiatus into a cultural moment of its own. In true army fashion, the the community turned a single humorous line into a full-fledged persona, a reminder of resilience and humor more than just a viral moment. The incident gave fans a quiet reassurance. Suga was doing just fine. Military life can be a stark change for anyone, especially a global music icon used to studio nights and arena lights. Yet, he adapted with the same resilience and deadpan humor that fans have always admired. It also became symbolic. For many young people in South Korea, conscription is a defining chapter in life, often difficult, sometimes isolating. To see someone as globally successful as Suga embrace it with humility and levity gave others a sense of solidarity. If he could find light in the ordinary, so could they. Looking ahead, the return of the August D spirit as fans eagerly await his return. They speculate how his time in the public service sector might shape his next artistic chapter. Suga, also known by his raw, introspective solo stage name August D, has always drawn from personal experience to write music that resonates deeply. Could this chapter of quiet service, unexpected humor, and behind-the-scenes stories fuel his next mixtape? Armies certainly hope so. If history has taught them anything, it's that every calm before the storm in Suga's career leads to something emotionally honest and musically powerful. Final words. Still Suga, always Suga. Suga may be away from the spotlight for now, but he's never far from the hearts and laughter of fans. One joke on a quiet workday turned into a ripple of joy across the BTS world. A reminder that sometimes the smallest stories are the most memorable. AS fans continue to count the days until his return. They'll hold on to this little moment. Suga, surrounded by co-workers, delivering a perfectly timed line, and showing the world that even in military service, his essence never fades. A cultural moment that transcends music. Suga's draft day Chuckle wasn't just a fan anecdote. It became a microcosm of why BTS has resonated so deeply on a global level. It wasn't about the polished performance or perfectly staged moment. It was real, honest, relatable, and funny. In a world where many celebrities are carefully shielded behind layers of PR and media training, Suga's offhand comment reminded everyone that authenticity still exists. That even someone with world tours, Grammy nominations, and chart-topping albums can still be the guy who cracks dry jokes at work without expecting applause. For a generation raised in a digital age that values connection and personality, that kind of authenticity hits home. The myth grows. Suga in civil service lore. According to rumors, none confirmed, of course, Suga's subtle humor became somewhat legendary among his co-workers. One fan-reported encounter, from a relative of a colleague, according to posts on Korean forums, claimed that someone tried to play a BTS song aloud in the office as a joke. Suga's reaction? He reportedly raised an eyebrow and said, "Change it. At least play something I didn't produce." Cue laughter. Again. Whether true or exaggerated by excited army storytellers, the tales surrounding civil servant Suga have taken on a life of their own. In a strange but wonderful way, they add to the growing lore of a man who became a music icon not by shouting the loudest, but by always being unapologetically himself. What we're learning from Suga's service, there's an unexpected comfort in knowing that even in a setting designed to strip away individuality, military service, Suga's essence can't be dulled. He blends in when needed, works hard without demanding recognition, and still finds moments to spark joy in those around him. It's a reminder to fans and non-fans alike. Greatness isn't always about being loud or flashy. Sometimes it's about doing your duty with grace, humility, and just the right touch of dry humor. Epilogue. The countdown continues as the calendar inches closer to Suga's discharge date. Fans know that more music, more insight, and more candid moments are coming. But until then, they have this story, a tiny moment tucked between the lines of a national duty, where a superstar made a whole room laugh just by being himself. And maybe that's the magic of Min Young-hee. Because whether he's producing music in a studio, performing on the world's biggest stages, or quietly serving his country behind a desk, Suga doesn't need the spotlight to shine. He is the spotlight, effortlessly, unmistakably, and always. Would you like this full article compiled into a downloadable or shareable format, like a PDF, blog post, or newsletter layout?